About what life is like here in Tripoli, because we've been focusing on these areas like Sirte and Beni Walid, where there are still Gaddafi loyalists and there's possibly still to be fighting there to get rid of those Gaddafi loyalists, to clear out those towns. But Tripoli itself is remarkably calm and peaceful at the moment, and I've just spent a couple of hours driving around the city, noticing things like traffic policemen back on the streets, bin lorries, rubbish collection lorries going around collecting rubbish. So that kind of thing, and also rebel fighters who've been here manning checkpoints and barricades. They've started to melt away. The men with the guns have started to melt away, so you can drive around and you really don't see very many people with guns at all. It's beginning to look like a pretty normal city. Obviously there's a lot of debris around from the fighting that there was here, a lot of graffiti on the walls and so on, and bullet holes. But it does feel like a city very quickly getting back to normal, and we're going to explore that a bit now with a leading doctor here, Professor Issam Hajjaji, who's a specialist in diabetes, but he ran a secret clinic during the last few months treating casualties of the Gaddafi regime, in fact. But Issam, thanks for being with us. What are your impressions of the city, really just a few days after liberation?
Yes, as you mentioned, Ben, things are pretty sort of rapidly returning back to normal. Services are still not sort of 100%, but you never expected that. Petrol has come into some petrol stations. Water hopefully will be resolved in the next few days. Not all the shops are open, and less roadblocks. More policemen on the streets. Still local revolutionaries controlling the local areas and doing very well at it, but obviously they cannot go on for a long time, and the NTC are starting to get the weapons all back from these youngsters who are not really in security or police, but also offering them to join the police or the army. So we've been through sort of bad times and worse times than this over the last few weeks. So we're willing to put up with all this for a bit longer, it's no problem.
How optimistic are you about the future?
I'm very optimistic in the long term. I think still over the next few years things will be a little bit unsettled, mainly because most of the population, over 50%, have only lived under Gaddafi. Therefore they have never been in a country where they were able to vote and freely air their opinions. And that takes time for them to understand and really feel that they can talk and do anything they like, and they can voice any opinion. They don't have to be with anybody in the NTC, and they can be with anybody else. And, you know, that we have to accept there are different opinions, and I wish to see a bit more criticism of anything they don't like or any person they don't like.
Life in a free country.
Very much.
Okay, Issam Hajjaji, thank you very much for being with us here on BBC World News. Well, just to talk quickly about